Yeah.
Are you balancing? Are you still performing and touring? Um, or are you is your focus mainly on your visual arts?
No, it's on both, actually. So what I did was, it was while I was living in Australia. When I was in Australia is when I started to paint a lot. Like I had like a lot of concentrated time. I did some shows while I was over there too, but I was painting like every day. And I would take a break when I would come back to the States for a couple of months and I'll go back there a couple of months. I did that for like 5 years, just back and forth every 2 months. I was here, there. But when I was there, I was painting. Then I'll come here, I'll do some performances, whatever. But I'm doing both because they don't they don't disrupt one another, right? And I've actually linked up with this agent last year. This guy reached out to me on Instagram. It's really interesting because this guy just loves my music. So I was telling him about what's going on. And so we're working on putting together some shows that are actually going to be, when people come to the show, it's an art show, then a
Mm.
performance. So I'm finding a way to bridge it because what made me want to do that was to say, okay, how do I transfer or share what I've achieved musically to what I'm doing artistic wise? Because one of the advantages I have in the art world, it's a slight advantage, but an advantage nonetheless, is I have a name that people know.
Mm.
But it's just all about taking that cursor and pointing and say like, hey, the guy that creates this music also does that art.
Mm.
And then I'm learning like the thing in the art world, it's like in the art world, you don't have to have a million collectors. Like you have to have a million people buy your album.
Mm.
All you need is a handful of collectors. They're gonna always buy whatever you come up with,
Mm.
right? So, and the cool thing is, I've used music royalties to buy art supplies until until I start selling art. Now the art buys the art supplies. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying?
Yeah.
So because I love doing both. Like, man, listen, the last time I was in the UK performing, it breaks my heart to think about it, but this is what happened. And this is a great story, okay? I go over there. I want to say it was 96. I want to say it was 96. Yeah, I'm almost certain it was 96. So I go over, yeah, it was 96. I go over to open up for Tina Turner. Tina Turner, it was you remember that tour she did? Was it the Dreams tour? I think so. And I was opening up for her four
Mm.
nights at the Wembley Arena.
Wow.
Okay. And it was my birthday that week. And I performed one night. Yeah, I got there the day before my birthday and performed. So this was November. And so when I get there, but I'm getting up every morning at like 5 in the morning to do interviews. So I was interviewing all the way up until
Mm.
2 o'clock. We drive out to the arena, do our sound check, blah, 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 all that. Well, the trip before that, I think, when I was in the UK, yeah. So I did Mariah Carey's tour before. I did one night to Wembley with her, one night in Rotterdam, Amsterdam, and Paris. It was just 4 nights.
Mm.
But it was spread out over a 2, 3 week period because Mariah wouldn't do back to back shows, whereas Tina Turner was back to back 4 nights in a row. So, but during the Mariah Carey tour at the Wembley Arena, I met Eric Clapton.
Mm.
Eric came to the show. And he said to me, he said, yeah, I turned Sheryl Crow onto your music. After that, me and Sheryl Crow became friends, right? And
Mm.
then so Eric, so here it is. I'm doing the 4 nights at the Wembley with Tina Turner. My manager calls and says, hey, Scooter and Cheryl are in town. They're gonna meet us downstairs for lunch in the hotel lobby. It's like, cool. So we go down there. So me and Mark are sitting there with Sheryl Crow and her manager Scooter. And who comes walking in, soaking wet, with a god doggone backpack on? Eric Clapton. He then took the train over to meet with
Okay.
us. And we're sitting down. I'll never forget this, man. He says to me, now, I had already done um, two of the 4 shows I was supposed to do. So we're sitting there, and Eric is talking. We're talking about all types of music or whatever. And he says, Tony, look at my hand. Look at this hand. He says, that hand is white. He said, but I'm a black blues man trapped in a white man's body. And I started laughing. I was like, "Why are you crazy?" So we were just having this really interesting. I'm just sitting at the table with Eric Clapton, Shercroft, and our managers. And so Eric says, "Hey, I want you to come in and do this session." So he had me and Cheryl do some vocals, but in separate sessions. But he said that it was for this project he was working on, that it had no name. And then he wanted me to do vocals for an album, an upcoming album, which was the Pilgrim album. I don't know if you ever heard that album. But so I was scheduled to go in the studio with him on that Saturday. And I had a show, my own solo show on that Sunday. This is all in the UK.
Mm.
I go, my driver picks me up, takes me to Eric's session. I do the vocals for the 2 projects he's working on. And then as soon as I get in the car, my driver picks me up, the session is done, I get in the car. As soon as I close the door, I instantly felt sick. I was like, what is going on?
Mm.
So I go back to the hotel and I was like, I didn't go to sleep. So I sleep as long as I rest. I wake up the next day, I can barely breathe. I feel sick. My body is just breaking down.
Mm.
And I had a show that night, that Sunday night, and As Yet was opening up for me. So I go to sound check, still feel like shit. I can't. I'm having asthma issues like that. I had to cancel that show. My performance. As Yet had to do the whole show that night.
Wow.
And I heard people did not like that. So from that point, they sent a doctor to the hotel room, and I had a complete physical breakdown. My body was just like, so I booked a flight the very next morning back to the US. And then when I got back home, I was on bed rest for 10 days.
Wow.
I couldn't walk for 10 days. I was exhausted. And after that, I was just like, I don't like this workhorse type thing. I can't live like this. This is not gonna happen. So that was another pivotal point. That changed my mind and perspective about a lot of things too. But that was the last time I was there. And the thing about it is, I still do performances. I don't perform as often as I like to, but I love to perform. So, and it's funny. After we talked last time, I was thinking like, man, I need to go to the UK. I ain't been there in a long time because I used to perform in the UK more than any place else.
Wow.
Like when I released Words, we released in Germany first, then the UK, then the United States. So I spent a lot of time in the UK doing a lot of performances and promo stuff and everything. I was just there a lot. I haven't been there in years. 96, 97, last time I was there.
Oh, we're close up to 30 years now. So that is
Yes,
that's definitely a long
a
time.
very long time.
So I guess just for fans who are going to be watching this, are they going to be able to say, are they going to expect to be able to see you tour in the US, or are you thinking Europe, or what do you think is more likely over the next 12 months?
I have no clue. Like I said, no, seriously, I've been talking with this agent. So we're working on something. We're getting some stuff set up. And what I do is sometimes I'll tell them like, hey, check this market, check that market. Because it's easy to go and perform where this is what I learned from working with different agents. Some agents are really, really good. They can get you work no matter if you have a record actively on the radio or not. But some need that. They can only book you if it's based upon that. But it's one of those things where what he and I are working on is finding the markets where there is any kind of demand for people to see me on stage. You got to be realistic. When you first start out as a performer, you think like, oh yeah, you think everybody wants to see you. No, they don't. The only people who want to see you perform is the people that want to see you perform. So you got to find out, okay, where are they? And are there enough people there? I think doing it in the States, it can kind of suck in the sense that you got Live Nation, just the way they've sewn up it's a monopoly. It's crazy. The way they got that set up is crazy. Whereas I'm more so into intimate performances.
Mm,
I've always loved those from day one, where it's like a room that's no more than 1,500 people. That's
mm,
a, if it's like 500 people, that's even better. And just like the smaller, more intimate, because then you
yeah.
can have conversations with the people while you perform. You can tell stories. It's a lot of I want to do something really creative like that. Just do like a come over there and do a tour of like small venues that just put
Mm,
the cool vibes, man. If you know
yeah.
of any, let me know. But that's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
I'm working on a project. I'm working on a documentary project about my whole creative ventures, and it's going to cover art and music.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's the I interviewed John B just a week ago, and he's constantly doing these Yossi, those type of small little venues, but constantly performing and I guess building up that momentum. And I guess once you get into it, I think people start to see it. So you won't see him on these 90s R&B block party shows where there's 10 acts. It's more like doing individual spot dates there and there, which probably the kind of audience that appreciate your type of music
exactly.
are pretty much willing to be able to see you there and stuff like that. So but I guess that's an interesting thing because there's a lot of exposure to art. I think um, Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys have started to invest in art, and so I think that's an area that they're going to try and make more accessible to the black community, not just the exclusive art dealers. So there may be something that you're
It's an
building
interesting.
upon.
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting world, and it's funny because the what John is doing now. A couple friends of mine are busy performing. I mean, like nonstop. So Eric Roberson,
Mm,
Jeff Bradshaw, Algebra, because they're constantly performing in the same venues. They
yeah.
just circle. But the thing about it is there's a following. And all you got to do, you have to tap into that.
Mm,
My whole thing is that I think I think of like broader net thing because what I've always known is that the majority of my royalties always come from overseas, right?
mm,
So that's why I tend to look at overseas a lot more than here.
mm,
But it's like I love like the last performance I did in Atlanta was 2019. And I did one at City Winery. I did a performance here at Art Basel um, a year ago. But other than that, it's like I'm, what my interest is to do things that I really, really want to do. And it's very, very intimate and personal. And
mm,
I think that stuff it just, and if you can do that enough times, enough venues, John's approach is proper because people love what he does. And if you put him on the right stage, they're going to appreciate it.
yeah.
That's what any is. And it's like my boy Jeff plays trombone. But I'm telling you, when I tell you out of 7 days out of a week, he works 4 or 5 days. I'm not
Mm,
lying. He's like always on the road doing shows. And it's like, that amazes me that a lot of artists that I know that may have never had a major hit or never had a major deal, they constantly work on stage. Because that's a
yeah.
whole nother industry, is the live performance industry. Now, I'm not talking about that Live Nation level.
Yeah.
That's some ridiculous stuff. That's just ridiculous. Nobody should be paying $400 or $500 for a
Yeah.
ticket to go performance. Ridiculous. But I'm talking about where, the $20, $40, $80 tickets like that.
Yeah.
That's that's what people really, really enjoy because then you can be in the room with the artist and really feel close to them because they're only like right there, as opposed to you looking on a screen because they look like a little Lego man way down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I did miss you.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No, okay, okay.
They don't understand what Jodeci's voice meant in all spirits.